Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Rob here, and welcome back to CoX Fridays, episode number 3, the third edition of the series, and I'm really happy to be bringing you guys this one. I'm so upset because I just recorded this, and then I realized that my mic was muted in the after the fact in the recording. So this is literally, I had to re-record the whole thing, so that's what we're doing now. So I can't believe that just happened. I thought I had a whole entire recording, and then yeah, so we're just back in it again. It's kind of crazy. It's like a little bit of deja vu because I feel like I just recorded this whole thing. But yeah, I mean, I'll just start off by saying I'm very happy to be here. I'm happy to be recording another CoX Fridays episode. And first of all, we're in a Mudadials room where you can see we don't want to lower it below 50%. So as you can see, we're stopping a little early of 50%. So that's the first thing to note here. Wow, I don't know, it's so weird because like there was just nothing else to do other than just go re-record the commentary at this point, because like what else am I gonna do, right? Like give up? No, I can't do that. It's CoX Friday, dude. There's no turning back. No, but yeah, I'm really excited to be bringing you guys this episode despite having to re-record it. I'm still excited to be recording it. I'm excited to record it again. I'll record it again. It's all good, dude. You know, CoX Friday has no rules. If it needs to be recorded, no, I'm kidding. I wouldn't. I don't think I would re-record it unless, yeah, unless that happened. That was just so unfortunate. But as you can see, we're gonna instantly overload here. Waste a dose of brew there, but no big deal. This does get a little sketchy. Sometimes with the big Mudadial, it can get quite sketchy. So you want to be a little careful. I probably should have ran south earlier here and brewed up earlier as well, just to be safe. But we do end up getting away, so never punish, don't have to learn. So as you can see, we started the raid with, I believe, 6 Sarah brews. So that allows us to use 2 in this room and then get a 5th brew. You know, in theory, 5 brews is enough to finish the raid with a Sang for a no prep. Because Sang just gives you a lot of health back at Ulm and just makes Ulm a lot more consistent in a solo. Very, very big fan of the Sang. So as you can see, we are taking the same setup as last raid. And this is a setup that you'll see me use in probably quite a few First K Friday. I'm gonna say that so many times probably in this series, but again, shout out to Addy. But yeah, as you can see in this room, we take it a bit better than the first time we did shamans in this series, where we aggroed both of them at the start and it made it a lot harder. Here you see we only aggro the second one a lot further into the room where we can handle it on its own. So this just makes the room like way easier. And as you can see, every time they attack, we assume it could be a poison, so just be careful every shaman attack. Here we always check the shortcut. Some people like to bring like an axe or a pickaxe, but in a solo, especially trying to do the no prep, it's kind of not worth the inventory slots. If you're in a team raid, it is quite worth the inventory slots, so, you know, it depends what kind of raid you're doing. But here we're just hoping that it's a boulder, and then unfortunately not, so nothing we can do. So we're going into thieving. Not too much to be said about this room. We obviously, usually our general strategy is pick 15 grubs and then make sure we basically pick this. We pick 15 and 15 pretty much is the easy strat. There's like more advanced things you can do and like little optimizations, but that's the general strat. And yeah, I mean, not much more to be said about this room, but I'm just really happy to be making this video. I like to take thieving as an opportunity just to thank you guys for watching, and also be sure to leave a like if you're watching at this point, because if you're watching in thieving, you're probably pretty dedicated to me. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm impressed, you know. Watching thieving is crazy, dude. Look at this room. This is crazy. Look how technical this is. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, though, I just really appreciate all the support I've gotten. I just like to say that in every video because it's true. And be sure to like, sub, comment, you know, do all the stuff. Or don't, you know, it is your prerogative at the end of the day. But I enjoy you being here regardless, so with that being said, we want to make sure we equip the salve amulet. You wouldn't believe the number of times I've forgotten to equip my salve amulet going into Mystics. I'm sure that's like a thing that almost everyone who's done Chambers of Xeric has experienced. So we always want to remember to put our salve on, and here, much like the shamans, we just want to find a way to isolate them, only deal with one at a time, and in this room it's a little bit easier because we can just line of sight them. So here we take on the red one first, and we're just taking them on one by one. We want to take as little damage as possible because we are doing the no prep, so we are pretty much avoiding making potions at all costs. Like, even if we ate a whole brew in this room, we would still go into Ulm, basically. I wouldn't really prep unless I had maybe less than 3 full brews, I would say, with this setup. Although, you know, obviously it's probably good to be safer, on the safer side. But you'll see if you deal with Mystics properly, you won't really take all that much damage in this room on average, so ends up really not being a bad room, and especially when you have Bofa and the Salvi Eye, it's just a ton of damage, especially with Overload, of course, is a huge damage boost as well. So it's nice that we get to be overloaded for like the whole raid because we start with Mudadiles. It's very, very nice. So another crabs, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not entirely happy what happens in this room. Just gonna put that out there. So here, that is good actually what I started with. So it's good that I started off by running into the orb that saved a little bit of time, but the time losses later in the room don't quite. Well, first of all, just here, we accidentally lose a cycle on the orb again. Listen though, it's nowhere near as egregious as the previous video's crabs, so we're gonna take it, whatever happens in this room basically. Here we want to avoid that blocking our orb, so good that we stepped in front of it there, and then we stack these up. And then finally, unlike the last video, we're not clueless here, so it does take us one more additional cycle, unfortunately, but again, not quite as egregious as the last one, so we will take it. Was that exactly 8 bonks with the Elder Maul? It's kind of sick if so. I did not even notice that the first time around, but I'm pretty sure I just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's kind of cool. So watch that back. But yeah, here goes another Ulm, another chance to get a Tebow solo, which, you know, is always a good thing. I always like to try for the Tebow. Honestly, any solo drop is really good, especially Ancestral is still quite expensive, so really getting any kind of item is really good. So I'm, you know, just really solo chambers is great at the moment. Not just for Tebow, but obviously Tebow itself would be insane as well. But so many other expensive items. Dragon Hunter crossbow. I think Dex is quite expensive too. It's, you know, it's definitely not the lowest it's ever been, that's for sure. Here you'll see we're doing again the Sang Vortic method, which is just attacking exactly when Ulm does his action, whether that's a turn or most of the time it's going to be a turn. We're attacking the same tick Ulm turns, and you know that requires a little bit of practice learning the timing. But at the end of the day, not the end of the world. It's something that you'll just learn if you keep trying it. There's a lot of other like places in the game that require 4 tick cycles. You know, Tob is one instance. So if you know anything about Tob, then this is something you'll be able to do if you just practice a little bit and figure out how to get on the right timing, basically. Obviously not everyone's done Tab, but you know, for those who have, but I guess that's a small subset. For those who haven't done anything, probably just focus on learning the timing here. So try to pay attention to when I click, basically. Because I'm clicking right before I need to attack. And the reason I do that is because if I do that, then when I move to the part where I get dragged with Mage, here this is just a little bit of shenanigans, I'm not gonna lie. You know, this is some CoX Friday madness right here. But anyway, here we get back, we're on the tick after it attacks is the right tick. So over everything, we're making sure we get the prayer right, and then we make sure we get on the right tick, and then essentially you'll realize when you have to move to be in 4-1, and then you just remain in 4-1. So at the beginning of this sequence, like which started like basically right when I got into cycle, I basically realized, yeah, it's hard to it is quite hard to explain, I will not lie. But the one thing to note is once you are in cycle, it's very hard to get out, so that is why I try to talk about how to get into cycle so much. Might sound quite repetitive, but it's kind of like the only thing that matters, because really staying in cycle is just like keeping a 4-tick cycle going, basically, with your weapon. Kind of like similar to the Sang thing, except there's a different way to get into it, which is pretty much undebatably a lot harder, I would say. So melee hand is definitely the harder one to learn here. You'll see the blue tiles on the floor. You might wonder what those are. Those are actually the shadow tiles, and at some point in the series, we'll probably show a shadow Ulm. I mean, we'll definitely at some point, probably when we do a CM, if nothing else. The one mistake I made in this Ulm is I didn't drop an extra item on the floor, which ended up making some mistakes because I tried to equip a weapon while I didn't have an inventory slot. So if I had dropped another brew, say, at the beginning of the fight, it would have made it a lot easier. But it's all good, it's all good. Didn't end up costing us anything major. You'll see here, though, with the Mage Thrall and the Sang, it's very, very rare to miss. So it's very hard for the head not to turn, which is very, very nice for us. It just means our job is very, very simple. It's just stay in cycle, and almost pretty much guaranteed to turn every single time we go across the middle. So this is very, very chill, and we just know it's going to work out pretty much as long as we stay in cycle. And we're going to pretty much end up 99 HP usually at the end of the mage hand because of the Sang, which is super nice. Here I'm going to switch early again. And you see I just get on tick. I even didn't have a switch on or something, but I just get on tick, which... This is a little complicated here what I do. I'm basically remaining on tick while playing around all the Ulm mechanics, essentially. And then moving at the wrong timing in the cycle, but it's fine. But I'm still attacking at the right timing, so I know eventually... Here now I see the lightning's not on the first row, so I just wait for the right timing to move. I already know I'm on the right tick. We also just end up getting very unlucky and the head doesn't turn there, which in this gear setup is very, very unlikely. Which is pretty unlucky, pretty unfortunate. But regardless, the hand's almost dead, so we just try to work on finishing it off here. And another relatively clean phase, obviously, like, not without its mistakes, but nothing too egregious, so we'll take it. Just, I love doing solo Ulm with these weapons. Even though it's no mega rares, it's just so much fun. Like Lance, Sang, and Dragon Hunter Crossbow. I'm just a huge, huge fan of those items in solo Ulm. I think it's so much fun. And I definitely recommend anyone who's watching this and thinking of trying it. Just wanted to say you definitely don't need the Torva. That's like the most expensive part of the setup and by far the most unneeded. So just wanted to put that out there. And something I mentioned in the first recording before, before stuff happened, is... I don't even remember what I was going to say, but I'll probably remember at some point. Regardless, You see, obviously just getting into 4 to 1. On the third phase, it's a lot easier because we can just do the 2 Elder Maul specs into attacking with the Lance. As long as you don't miss a tick at the beginning, that's like pretty much guaranteed way to get into the cycle in the third phase. That's something I mentioned in the last video. It's just something that's super satisfying. I just like talking about these kind of things because they're the kind of things that just I really enjoy about Solo Ohm. The kind of like mechanical like intricacies, I guess. You know, let's not talk about the fact that I just summoned a range thrall against the mage hand. We just aren't going to talk about it, okay? Don't know what you're talking about. Man, this stag method is so fun though. So as I was saying, the blue tiles that are marked are for the shadow method. You know, it is quite a bit more intricate, so probably we'll wait for a little bit down the line with that, but I do plan on doing some CMs, so probably when I do CMs I'll bust out the shadow. For right now though, it's fun just to show the sag method. I just love doing this method so much, so don't really see a reason not to be honest. Trying to get a clean transition into the head phase. And just trying to avoid as much damage as we can. We are running out of prayer, so we're trying to basically just play around that a little bit, although there's not all that much we can do. Definitely a stressful part of the Olm fight. The most stressful part of the Olm fight for sure. A lot of potential damage you can take. Of course we get Acid, probably another one of the worst ones. You know, Burn With Me is probably the worst, but Acid Walk is probably the second worst. Usually I just try to continue getting as many hits as I can like this. I find it's more important to keep DPS up, especially when you're close to finishing the boss like this. And what happens? Never purple. Unfortunate. But, you know, it's not too likely. 3.5%, not the worst, but, you know, not overall super likely. We will see one eventually, though. I have faith, so... Not the worst loot either. More herbs, which is always good. We're happy to see the dragon arrows last time, so anything like that is always nice. But hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I'll see you guys in next week's video. Peace out.